who better than me?
Welcome back to another episode of the Hardcore Casual with your boy, Bass the Kid. Seem to be churning them out a bit more regularly this week as I've got a little less to do than previous, and things are starting to happen again in the sport. So yeah, we'll get into it. Please like and subscribe, click that notifications, help me out, you know, all the good stuff. Thank you for the messages yesterday in both the comments and, you know, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, all that good stuff. Yes, let's get this ball rolling. So I guess the first place to start, I guess we've got to talk about this Terence Crawford and Bob Arum situation. So for those who don't know, Terence Crawford is suing Bob Arum and Top Rank for what he calls revolting racial bias preventing him from landing big fights and earning tens of millions of dollars. Now I did see a report on this actually. I didn't read the entire transcript because I didn't have time, but from what I can gather, the lawsuit is basically saying that Bob Arum didn't do his due rights to promote Crawford and make him into a higher profile star than he should have been, especially in comparison to many of his other colleagues within sort of the Top Rank division, and they are citing that it was racially, what's the right word to use here? Citing that it was racially motivated to basically not do the greatest for the black guy, but all the white guys or the Latinos were promoted in a better fashion. Now look, in America, this kind of thing is rife. I mean, look, we all know that there's many instances of sort of racial biases or racial discrimination within sports, especially in America. Not as much outside, but it's rife everywhere. However, the problem with this is it's very hard to prove this kind of scenario in a court of law. That's something I do know, and I don't know a huge amount about the legal systems. But unless there is some kind of evidence, like hard evidence, like a video or an audio or some kind of documentation which, you know, unequivocally states that this guy is not worth the money compared to such and such, so let's ignore him, or, you know, or some form of, oh well, who cares about that jungle bunny, or some form of, you know, racial epithet that equates, you know, to slander of a person based on his race. I don't really see how he's going to get that one over the line. Now it might, if I did see there was something else that said where there was breaches of his contract, which would you know, sort of which went against, I guess, Top Rank's fiduciary duties to act in his best interest. So if that is more the cause of the actual lawsuit, that would make more sense. And possibly, and this is speculation, this part I'm about to say, so, you know, it's not on record, but possibly if there were breaches in the contract that sort of weren't dealt with, and that's now something that needs to be addressed, but they're using the quote-unquote known racial bias that exists within Top Rank as a way to highlight that or to get the public on side, might be a bit of a smart maneuver, because whether the court case can be verified by what's written here, everyone knows there is such thing as a court of public opinion. And if the court of public opinion is now telling you that black fighters are not respected at Top Rank and don't get the same opportunities or don't get the same marketing, don't get the same enthusiasm put behind them as, you know, sort of as maybe their white or Latino or Filipino contemporaries, then that just paints a very negative picture for that organization moving forward, for future generations to possibly sign with them. Now, in my Discord yesterday, I speculated that I think it's more to do with something about future generations. Obviously, like, you want what's right for you, but ultimately this is almost like a smear on his record for the new ones moving forward. So maybe some other people might leave the organization, especially if they've got license to be like a high profile boxer or a high profile star in the future. But I want to read up an excerpt from this case that I've got here, and then I'll just basically see what I make of this. Right. Arum clearly allows his revolting racial bias to impact the fighters he is obliged to promote. Because this is boxing, a sport with a checkered history, and because Arum is now dismissed as just a grumpy old white man, Arum continues to make racist and bigoted statements and purposefully damage the reputations of black boxers without any consequences. This is generally because the affected boxers, who are in long-term contracts with Top Rank, fear that if they speak up, they will be placed on the sidelines and not given the opportunity to fight during the life of their deal, which could be 5 to 7 years. It is painfully clear that Top Rank, and especially Arum, judges people based on their race. Arum's sordid history with athletes of color, especially black fighters, and his bias favoring white and Latino fighters is well documented and known throughout the boxing world. In truth, Top Rank, a company with 0 black executives and only 2 or 3 black employees, refuses to admit that it simply does not care about, support, or know how to promote black fighters. Okay, well, look, there's a lot of emotionally and racially charged language in that, but that statement in itself isn't something that you can take to court without other evidence backing it up. But as I said, court of public opinion will tell you that what's being said there is actually correct, because there are numerous cases of black fighters who have basically said they can't be given a fair deal with Top Rank. I mean, Floyd Mayweather famously said, well, look, when Arum was trying to promote him to, I think, the Latino audiences, he's like, well, no, I want you to promote me to black people as well. Like, I'm black, I want my core fan base to be who look the same as me. And Arum said, well, I don't understand that hip-hop generation. I don't know how to market you to those people. Now, I mean, considering the fact that you did the Thriller in Manila with Ali and Frazier, 2 very prominent black fighters of the 60s and 70s. I believe he had some involvement in Rumble in the Jungle. Not 100% sure, but I believe there's some there. It's weird how some of your biggest profile stars that you've worked with over the years are black, and yet you've never been able to retain them or been able to learn how to market them the best to the best audience for them. I don't know, it's like I said, I think I've got a suspicion there's a bit more behind the scenes to this than we're seeing out in the open, and we're just being given the racially charged part for the court of public opinion, which is basically, you know, for most people, court of public opinion is law. The court of social media is law. Like, if you get social media on side, they'll have to do some kind of damage control, even if the case gets thrown out legally. Like I said, it tarnishes the legacy of Top Rank. But like, yeah, I've heard it many times over the years about black fighters not being supported correctly. But that being said, from a play devil's advocate, Naoya Inoue has not been promoted well with Top Rank thus far. and he's not, you know, he's Japanese. Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol should have had a mega fight by now, and Arum literally is saying, oh, well, no one will care about that fight because Bivol's boring, when Bivol moved away from Top Rank. So it might not be a case of just black fighters. Maybe it's foreign fighters as well. Maybe it's just fighters that aren't Latino or aren't Filipinos. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe just outside of that sort of white and Latino demographic that he, I guess, can just see the blueprint for that was given to him by other people. He just doesn't know how to deal with anyone. Plus, being 90 years old, does he really care? I think that's part of the problem. Him being 90, like, he's from a generation where racism was real. And I know for a fact, when you are ingrained in a certain way of thinking, you can't instantly change it just because the times have changed. So yeah, maybe there is a lot of stuff there, but unless he's openly coming out with racially charged language, as I said, you know, unless he's dropping M-bombs behind the scene that we don't hear about, or, you know, he's calling people jungle bunnies, or, oh, I hate these black fighters, they never do what they're told, or anything like that. Unless we've got evidence of that, or evidence within the contract saying, well, you were supposed to promote me to this group of people on this date for this app, and you chose not to do it because you didn't see the value or something along those lines, it's gonna be an awkward, long, bumpy road. But I'm definitely gonna be keeping an eye on this moving forward, and boy, let's see what happens next. Okay, so yesterday, I believe it was, I briefly spoke on the Tyson Fury basically calling out Anthony Joshua and Usyk, and basically saying, oh, how, you know, I've wrestled all these belts away from Ukraine and you just went and gave them back to him. And in the process of that, he called Oleksandr Usyk a little steadhead, a little steroid man. Wladimir Klitschko came out on Twitter and basically said, well, of all the people who's going to accuse someone of taking steroids, like, you're the last person that should do so, because you've actually tested positive and got a 2-year ban for nandrolone, which for some reason everyone always seems to want to avoid. I don't really get it. Like, it's so prevalent in all the news cycles, but none of the journalists, like Gareth A. Davis's bum chum, he never wants to speak about it. Michelle Joy Phelps never brings it up anymore. Like, Coogan would never ask Tyson, well, okay, what do you take on Klitschko's comments? Like, you'll never hear that in a conversation. And it's almost like everyone's trying to sweep it under the rug and hope that everyone forgets, but no one's gonna forget, especially when Tyson Fury does the dumb shit he does, literally flip-flopping on a dime, talking about stuff that's irrelevant. Like, 1 minute he's for the people, the next minute he could care less, he'll never fight in the UK again, then he wants to fight in the UK, then he loves the people, then, oh, well, no one ever done anything for me, I'm the people's champ, then it's, well, actually I'm the WBC champ. Like, everything is flip-flopping. But in this particular instance, I do like the fact that obviously Wladimir Klitschko has come out and was like, well, even if what you're saying is true, you're the last person we want to hear it from. Like, as he said, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, so let's take your stones away. And I totally agree. I mean, look, everyone knows I don't like Tyson Fury in the slightest. There was a period in time when I was backing him against Deontay Wilder because I thought he would be the lesser of two evils. I don't know if that ended up being the case. I think we just traded one evil for another evil that was exactly the same level, just different variants. If we put it in coronavirus, Deontay Wilder was Delta and Tyson Fury is Omicron. Like, both of them give off the same impact at the end of the day. But yeah, like, shout outs to Klitschko for basically addressing that. I don't know if Usyk will bother to address it as well. I mean, look, the fact that he did come up from being a middleweight as an amateur, sort of at the age of, what was it, like 18? He was like, what, 17, 18, 19, went away and then came back, and he, you know, he was sort of, what was it, about like 25, 30 pounds heavier, and in his, you know, in his next run. Now, I mean, look, as an amateur, if you're talking sort of 17, 18, being a middleweight, yeah, but you can naturally put on, I mean, we naturally put on size as we get older anyway. So yeah, maybe he's pumped a few weights, maybe he had a growth spurt, maybe he did ingest as much HGH as humanly possible. But as far as I'm aware, there's been no tests on him that show that he's popped 30 for anything. And until such a time as that is the case, I can't slander him the same way I can't slander Manny Pacquiao, who has had numerous untold rumors about steroid abuse over his career but has never popped. So I can't call you a drug cheat without evidence. And it's the same thing here. Whereas I've got evidence on Tyson Fury, and not just Nandrolone. Remember, he also had to serve the ban for cocaine as well. But for some reason he'll talk about the cocaine stuff but won't talk about the Nandrolone. Interesting. But yeah, like, I really just want him to do better. As I said the other day, I'm not really interested until he deals with that Dillian White work. I don't really care about him, but I wanted to address this more from the Klitschko side. Like, I like what Klitschko done. Obviously, in support of someone that is innocent until proven guilty. And as he said, like, if anyone's going to talk about that, it can't be you. Like, you're not the person we need to hear from, and I respect it. But I'm going to keep that one there and move on to the next subject. Okay, so a bit of news that just broke, I believe it was yesterday, but it seems to be doing the rounds now. Apparently, Tony Yoka is looking to accept the IBF challenge for Filip Hrgovic. Now, I think I said on a different video that I can't see I can't see Yoka taking the fight because he's already got a fight scheduled with Martin Bakole, which was supposed to be Carlos Takam, or it was the other way around. But either way, that got postponed because of COVID situation. It's supposed to be happening in March. Now, I don't know if maybe he's still going to go ahead with that fight and then do like a Hrgovic fight in July or something like that, or if he might just cancel that overall fight to begin with and just go straight into a Hrgovic battle. But if he does take it, I mean, kudos to him. I mean, loads of people have turned it down for various reasons. Most of them are to do with money, because it's just not a big money fight, and the title shot is not coming for at least like 2 years down the line. And even if you get the title shot, the champion, who right now the mill tickets is AJ Usyk, if they vacate that belt and you end up having to just fight for a vacant title, you're probably gonna get like a sixth of the money you could have got previously. So even though the belt is one thing, like, it's prize fighting. So I'm assuming that must be the reason why. So I said before, the only people that would accept this fight are people that didn't have a huge profile anyway. Now, Yoka's sort of half on the cusp of that, because he's got the Olympic profile, but he, you know, outside of France, he hasn't done anything sort of majorly to have his name like in real circulation. He was supposed to do the top rank deal and start fighting in America just before the pandemic happened. Since then, he's been regulated to fighting in France, hasn't veered away from there. So yeah, it's you could say, well, his profile ain't big enough to really turn it down. So it'll probably be career high money for him thus far. The next person who probably would have taken it, like I said, is maybe like Zhilei Zhang, because I don't think Dempsey McKean would have taken it. So if Yoka does take this fight, it will be good, because obviously they've got history in the amateurs as well, and it would be good to see if they can sort that out in the pros, and we can finally address the point of whether Yoka's chin is as bad as a lot of people speculate. I mean, you know, he did get knocked out absolutely smooth cold in the amateurs with 18-ounce gloves and headgear. So that being said, I mean, you know, what did they say? The best chins are the ones that don't get tested. He's quite quick, he's very fluid, he's tall, rangy, so maybe he can just constantly stay out of the way of the most heaviest shots that will test whether or not he's got that chin or not. And maybe after that knockout, he's worked a lot more on being elusive and protecting his weak spot. So that being said, it would be a really good fight, and I'll definitely be interested to see what happens with that one moving forward. But yeah, whether it's Yoka or Zhang, I would like to see both of those fights for Hrgovic, because I think they would both do well. And yeah, finally he can get a biggish fight or a step-up fight from the kind of competition he has been fighting. Because out of the two of them, if I'm gonna be honest, I'm picking Yoka based on quality of competition. Like, he's faced the better opponents in a shorter space of time, and he's not ballooning up in weight the way that Hrgovic has over the last 3 years. So, I mean, Hrgovic has definitely got the power, but I feel like Yoka may have the better skills. And as long as he can maintain and last for 12 rounds, I would definitely give it to him. But it would be a great fight if it happens, and I look forward to seeing what happens next. Okay, I think I'll end on this one. I saw a report that the DAZN takeover of BT Sport has been finalized, or it's in the final stages of being finalized. So it seems that it is actually happening at the moment. Now, while this isn't boxing totally per se, like, it's a great move for them, simply because you've got the you know, they've got the rights to so much of the Premier League football and Champions League football over here in the UK. If that all gets added to the DAZN subscription, I can assume that subscription is probably going to end up going up to like $12.99, $14.99 a month. But that will bring over a huge amount of non-boxing fans to the platform in the UK. You know, football is the be-all and end-all over here. So I can imagine that will quadruple at minimum the subscriber base that DAZN currently has. You feed those people into the boxing market as well, and you know, there will be loads of crossover appeal, cross-pollination. You can market the events between each other. I mean, if it happens, it won't just be that, there will be other content on there as well, but it's definitely a good look for both sides. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about that if it does happen. And anything to take it off the Sky bill will, you know, sort of be beneficial as well. It will pose a question as what will happen with Frank Warren. I mean, he said that he's got an exclusivity deal with BT Sport, and no other boxing promoter can work on BT Sport until his deal's over. Now, that may be the case, but if DAZN buys BT Sport and then basically incorporates them into DAZN to the point where they're no longer called BT Sport, does your contract still hold weight? Don't know. I mean, can you still then say, oh well, he can't now work on DAZN because DAZN is a part of BT Sport and BT Sport is exclusive to me only? And realistically, like, that's never going to happen, because when you look at Matchroom figures when it comes to shows, and then you look at Queensbury figures when it comes to shows, there's only one survivor in that scenario. And if I'm being totally honest, contract or no contract, any contract can be terminated with the necessary compensation. If you look at Frank's numbers, I mean, I don't really think he can command a high cancellation fee. So yeah, he might wanna start playing nice with the rest of the boys on the platform. But yeah, we'll see where we go, innit? Like, it's all good for that, and I'm definitely keen to see when that will happen, when it will take place by, and hey, good news moving forward. So let's see where we get to. But all right, I'm gonna wrap it up for now. I'm probably gonna find more stuff to talk about for tomorrow. I might even get one out on the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Who knows with the amount of stuff that's coming out recently. If there's anything I want to talk about, I will do so. But yeah, thanks for watching. As always, like and subscribe. Keep the comments down below because I do read all of them. I do respond to all of them. And for now, the Hardcore Casual out.